This is a fight now for the soul of the nation and the youth that are going to be coming up and figuring out, am I going to live my life with these leftists' values where it's okay to just say and do and be what, the craziness that we are seeing now on display every week in this country?
Let your rage fuel you. Let your rage fuel you.
Or do we want people that are going to have self-respect and family and virtue? The choice is very clear right now.
I think now a lot of Americans have woken up, especially those of us on the populist right, to realize that we must be on offense, that there is going to be no compromise with the radical left because they want us dead. At worst, at best, they want us debanked, they want us fired. And unless we go on offense, we're not going to have a country any longer. And thankfully, one of the good results of horrible tragedies is that people they're shaken, they're woken up to the reality that we need to be on offense. And part of being on offense, by the way, is with somebody like Jimmy Kimmel to say, you have a right to say abhorrent things. Okay, you do. But you don't have a right to a talk show. You don't have a right to a job, to a teacher in your community. You have a right to say terrible things celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. But you don't have a right to then teach our community's children after that. That's going on offense, saying that there are consequences even to free speech. And I'm a free speech absolutist, but that doesn't mean you don't suffer the consequences of horrific speech, of abhorrent speech, and of completely dishonest speech.
All right, guys, good Thursday. Thanks for being here. The panel is ready to go, all revved up, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, some great stuff to talk about, as a matter of fact. I'll talk to you guys about this edition. If you watch my Instagram, I was over at the Oval Office last week, and I was showing you some framing along the colonnade between the residence and the West Wing. It is now filled in, and rather hysterical. Donald Trump doing his best to troll Joe Biden in particular. We'll talk about this ICE facility that was targeted, so much more to break down. Plus, the big question I think a lot of people are asking is Jim Comey about to be indicted? We'll get that down. And is the government going to shut down? So much to do. Before I get to that, though, a big congratulations to my good friend, longtime friend, both friends, actually, and friend of the show, Dan Scavino and Aaron Elmore. Dan, so cute, making a very nice, if you're going to propose in the Rose Garden. And Dan did that last night to Aaron Elmore. She's a good friend of the show. The two of them now set to be engaged. I'm sure I'm going to get help for some really nice wedding gift. I kid. Anyway, tomorrow, Victor Marx is going to be on, next week, John Solomon. So continue to hit that subscribe and notification button. Before I bring in the panel, though, you guys all know this. If you've been involved, if you are of 60 or older, you know what a mess Medicare is. If you are a son, a daughter, a grandparent, a caregiver, you guys got to realize this. You're probably getting pushed by brokers all the time for these garbage plans to push your parent, your loved one into them. President Trump's back in control, and the Department of Justice is finally cracking down on a lot of these people who are pushing people into random Medicare plans to make money. And that's what you've got to make sure you don't do. While the lawsuit's going on, you got to make sure that you find honest help and protect yourself. That's why I'm excited to talk to you guys about Chapter. It was started by people who actually went through this process as they were helping their own parents who had gotten pushed into a bad Medicare plan. So now they want to help you give every American an honest and straightforward Medicare advice about which plan can benefit you or your loved one. Here's how they're different. They're the only Medicare advisor that compares every single plan out there nationwide, not just a handful. That's how they save people, though, over $1,000 per person on average. It couldn't be easier. In under 20 minutes, they're going to review all of your options. And if you're already in the right plan, they're just going to say, hey, you're in the right plan. Good to know, which is probably a nice peace of mind. But if you're not, they can teach you ways to save thousands through another plan. So if you're 64 or older, or a caregiver, or love somebody that is about to choose a Medicare plan or is on Medicare and might be eligible to save a bunch of money, give them a call at Chapter 978-746-2315. That's 978-746-2315 to make sure they've got the right Medicare plan. If you're listening on the audio version or forgot that number, it's always in the show notes, 978-746-2315. All right, guys, I've been on every yo-yo diet in the planet. I swear to God, I've done paleo, Atkins, no carb, low carb, no cal, high cal. I've done them all. And it's not just about losing weight. It's about eating healthier, trying to get back in shape to make your overall health better. But nothing has ever really stuck long term, which is why I've tried to do something different. I am engaging in this 88-day plan. It's a new health protocol. that is from Energized Health. And I want you to check it out too, because again, this isn't just about losing weight. It's about creating a better, healthy lifestyle for yourself. It's not a fad diet. It's based on science that deals with intercellular hydration and helps restore your health from the inside out. When I talked to John Jubilee, this guy, honest to God, I said, he asked me how old he thought he looked. And I said, I don't know, about 41. He's 65 years old. It totally transforms your body. You get better mental clarity and even better sleep without extreme exercise or dangerous moods and random diets that exclude a bunch of stuff. If you're feeling tired, stuck, inflamed, do me a favor. Go to energizedhealth.com. Watch the masterclass to learn more and to see why myself and so many other people are trying it. 88 days to a better, healthy you. Energizedhealth.com. All right, it's my pleasure to bring in our all-star panel, my former colleague and good friend, amazing documentarian, which I'm sure about to win some big awards at some point. Someone will finally recognize all of the great content that he's putting out there. He's the founder of the League of American Workers, my good buddy Steve Cortes, our friend from the Blaze, who's literally been on fire the last couple of months with some amazing commentary, Jill Savage, welcome back, and Mehek Cooke, political commentator, lawyer extraordinaire. Thank you guys for being here. Guys, I mentioned at the top, I was at the Oval last week doing a press spray, and they had these frames along the colonnade. And then the president puts it out, Jill, and it's all of the presidents, one by one, in a pretty gold frame. And then you get to Biden, and it's the auto pen. And the left is losing their mind. I mean, awesome troll or big offense?
It's an awesome troll. I voted for this. Are you kidding me? Right? When you look at this, the auto pen could go down as one of the biggest scandals in American presidential history. And the fact that Donald Trump is not willing to he's not shying away from it. That's not his personality. He's leaning into it like he does with everything else. So the fact that it's like revealed, right? And I love the Margot Martin video on socials, and she's putting it out there, and it's like, wait for it. You go through all the presidents, and then you see the auto pen. Well, guess what? That's who we actually had running this country for 4 years. So how is that wrong?
Yeah. Steve Cortes, I'm surprised that Team Biden hasn't come out and been reflexively offended by this. Like, I don't know, or I just figured the media would do their bidding, and it's actually been rather silent. I'm shocked. I don't know why, but I'm shocked that the media hasn't talked about how offensive this is.
Well, I have a theory. You're right. It is surprising, but I think that there's a reason for that silence and for the relative calm on the left regarding this wonderful stunt from President Trump. I think it's because they know what they did was not just unethical, but in some cases probably illegal, probably actually criminal. I think people should be indicted for the lies that were told because they were so consequential to the American people. And I think probably some folks on Team Biden are, frankly, worried about that, as they should be. But, look, President Trump showed once again that he is just a master of showmanship, of imagery, of trolling, all of it. This is a man who just understands media the way few Americans ever have, certainly the way no other president ever has previously. And he knows also how to instill comedy into a situation, which is not actually funny, right? The fact that we did not have a cognitively aware commander-in-chief for a very long time, but he also knows that comedy is a great device sometimes to relay truths that are not funny at all. I just hope and expect that both the Trump administration as well as the Congress take serious actions to continue to investigate exactly what happened, exactly what lies were told, and if crimes were committed, that there be prosecutions.
Mehek, there's two things that come to mind. One is what Steve said, which is that it's a subtle way of making of highlighting a serious issue, right? So you literally are saying this is crazy that there was an auto pen that was kind of governing us for 4 years, which is the serious side. And then there's the other side that I started to think about, and I mean this in all seriousness, that like I keep talking about how Trump 1 is different than Trump 2. And one of the things that hasn't, the totality of Trump 2 is the comfort that he has in the office. And what I mean by that is look at the decorations of the Oval Office. Look at the colonnade where he's just done this. They call it the Palm Room, which is this room right before you leave the residence and come down that colonnade. They completely redecorated that. The 2 flagpoles, the Rose Garden. The ballroom. He's literally putting his imprint on the White House physically, aesthetically. And I thought about it because very few presidents, sometimes they tinker. Oh, I fixed a bunch of flowers. I added a hoop at the basketball court. Michelle Obama had a garden. This guy, when you become president going forward, you will not be able to mistake that Donald Trump was president before you based on all of the aesthetic changes to the White House.
Well, Sean, I have not been to the White House yet. It is on my bucket list, but I'll tell you something. As somebody who's sitting back and watching what President Trump is doing, I have to agree with Steve. First and foremost, there's a little bit of humor, but it's also a reminder to the American people that we were lied to for 4 years. And we can't take this lightly. And AutoPen was not only the biggest scandal in American history, but the fact that we don't have indictments and arrests, we're waiting for it. So every single day when you walk into that White House and you see that picture of the AutoPen, we're reminding not only the staff, but congressional members that you have to do something. You have an oath to make sure that this never happens again. And President Trump's decor is just another slam dunk because he's always moving and shaking. And there's a massive comfort. Remember his first administration. He was not only fighting people who had infiltrated his administration who weren't there for the right reasons. They were never Trumpers, but he was fighting Congress. He was fighting every single day, from indictments to impeachments, from threats to his family to threats to his policy. And today what he's saying is he's sitting back and saying, Joe Biden had 4 years, America. You saw what he did. He ran our country into the ground with his cronies. And now I'm going to make an imprint that's going to be a lifetime long. So I applaud everything he's doing from the White House to Congress.
I want to pivot to a very serious incident that occurred yesterday. Jill, you guys are down there in the Dallas area, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So we saw this attack on ICE. Unbelievable. I have been saying this whole both sidesism is a load of crap for the last 10 days, if not longer. And yesterday, we saw a bunch of Democrats saying, political violence is, but that was their guy again. And I didn't hear, I've said this now since Charlie's assassination. The left keeps saying we all condemn violence. And I've said, no, you don't. Because when ICE agents have rocks, projectiles thrown at them, when government vehicles and property is attacked, no one on the left is saying, hey guys, if we disagree with ICE, we need to take it out of the ballot box. We need to change the policy. You need to tell that's not how we do it. And yesterday, I keep bringing this up. They said nothing. Chuck Schumer said we need to take it down and he blamed guns, right? All these people, but no one said we should not be attacking ICE. And the media covered for them yesterday. And that was the disgusting part, is they get away with this. And I felt like yesterday was the manifestation of the violence. But even when it was just projectiles and rocks and bottles, they still have not condoned attacking ICE.
Yeah, because that's not what they want, right? The media is going out there and they're going to just show you the images and then they're going to move on quickly, right? It's a lot like what we were saying with the AutoPen. They will show you what they want to show you. They're not going to show you the AutoPen. They're not going to show you if it's somebody with trans affiliations. They're going to move on in the media because they don't want the normies out there to be consuming this information so that when an ICE facility gets attacked, guess what, guys? This is all part of the what they want to have happen, because you get people out there like Gavin Newsom making disgusting comments, and you just see that there is, when you talk about both sides, there is no both sides, because what we want on the right is actual love and caring for our neighbors. I don't care, I might not agree with the way that you live your life, but I do care that you don't get harmed in any way, shape, or form. And we can't say that right now is the same from these leftists, because we see that it has anti-ICE written on the bullets. Kash Patel put that out on social media yesterday. And, the ICE director, the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, was on interviews this week. And he was saying, nobody's going out there saying, hey, let's stop this. Our men and women are out there in harm's way all the time. And Sean, this is the fourth time this calendar year that ICE facilities in Texas have either been threatened or attacked. I believe that same ICE facility had a bomb threat earlier this year. If they were serious on the left and in the media, they would be calling to stop this. But as our friend Jesse Kelly likes to say, no, the street communists are going out there they're taking the talking points from their leftists, and they don't need to be said in the media. They know what their marching orders are because nobody has been put in their place to stop them. Kamala, AOC, Newsom, whoever's going out there talking right now in the media, they're not trying to stop attacks. If they did, it would look entirely different right now.
Yeah. Jill, I think you make such a good point. Not only are they not trying to stop them, they're trying to foment and encourage them. And I want to give you a specific example, which is J.B. Pritzker, my former governor. Thank goodness, former. He's part of the reason I no longer live in the state of Illinois and fled for Red America as a refugee, thankfully. But J.B. Pritzker just days ago went on the air and compared ICE agents to Nazi guards. Okay, and this, by the way, coming from a Jewish governor in America makes it particularly abhorrent. But coming from anybody, it's abhorrent to criticize law enforcement officers who bravely put on the badge, wear the uniform to protect the United States, do the hard, dangerous work of protecting America, and he calls them Nazi guards. So clearly, not only are they trying to in some ways calm things, quite the opposite. They are very intentionally instigating this kind of violence. And from the highest levels, look, J.B. Pritzker is clearly running for president. He may very well be a credible candidate for president on the Democratic side. He certainly has all the money in the world. He certainly has name recognition. So this is not coming from some dark corner of the internet. No, this is coming from the leading figures of the Democratic Party. It's consistent. It's intentional, and unfortunately, it is deadly for so many folks in American law enforcement and others on the right. Of course, folks like Charlie Kirk, anybody who's just willing to simply speak their mind, and anybody who's willing to say, hey, this is my patriotic populist vision for America. Unfortunately, they realize now that they are in danger because of the violence of the left. And we cannot tolerate at all this nonsense that this is from both sides. I mean, it's very, and there are some Republicans, unfortunately, who I think to some degree have fed into that and talked about like, we need unity. No, we don't need unity with dangerous communists. Okay, we don't. We don't need unity with trans violence. We don't need unity with Antifa. There is no unity. Those groups are going to be destroyed because they are terror groups and they are criminal elements. They are going to be imprisoned. Now, we're going to do it with legal means. We're not like the left, right? We're going to do it through the rule of law. We're going to do it with due process, but we're going to smash these groups, not interested in unity with them.
Well, and can I add to that, Steve? Also, when we talk about what's happening in our country today, we have to understand what the Democrats are doing. They are creating and indoctrinating the next generation. That's what Charlie Kirk talked about. And I believe we're at a tipping point, and we've hit that turning point, because when Charlie was assassinated that very week, Democrats had a choice. Are they going to choose radicalism, or are they going to choose America first and their citizens? You had Kathy Hochul come out there and endorse Zohran Mamdani. And now you're seeing Democrats, after an ICE detention facility, that is a government facility, get shot at. They're not saying anything. And it's because they want foot soldiers that they indoctrinate to join the left. They're not going to sit back and say, violence is not the answer. You cannot shoot up a ICE detention facility. And this is where Americans need to wake up. And Sean, we've seen 4 attacks against ICE. Why aren't we doing better? Why isn't ICE ensuring that we have counter surveillance? Why aren't we making sure that our officers are protected? Because look, guys, if our officers aren't protected, they can't protect us. Why don't we have a domestic terrorism law today that is a sole law that you can charge somebody on, so that when a criminal commits a crime, he's not looking for loopholes. Accomplices need to be held accountable. And every single time we are shot at, we have to call it what it is. It is us versus them today. There is no unity in violence. There's one straight message. It's either us and making sure we're safe and secure, or it's them. And I think there are more and more kids today that are going to start turning towards the Republican Party, because what do we talk about? Common sense, God, law and order, sitting at a dinner table today and trying to educate our kids. And Democrats aren't doing that. And the mainstream media isn't doing that. So we have to be vigilant in every single conversation. ICE, those surges are up 1,000%. The fact that we're even having this discussion, you have to sit back and wonder, Democrats' end game isn't just about winning. It's about indoctrinating and creating foot soldiers. And we have to stop that at every turn.
Yeah, and to the point, like, it's amazing that the media yesterday kept saying, we don't know. I mean, I'm like, dude, he wrote anti-ICE on the bullet casing. That's pretty much a tell. But the level of cover, the air cover that they get, and I don't mean to segue it like this, but I feel like it's the same thing going on with Jimmy Kimmel, which is he comes out, gives this non-apology, and and the Dems go, oh, it's all about the First Amendment. And I'm like, I don't know, Jill. I was blown away by the fact that here's a guy who lied to the American people and said it was a MAGA guy that did this, which inflames tensions, which is misinformation. Okay, he wasn't like, they try to make it like, oh, it was a bad joke. No, that he wasn't joking. He's not a comedian. I get that they get to claim that it's a late night show, but that's lying. And yet here we are. And again, he has social media. He's got a PR team. He's got 100-something staffers. He chose is the key word in my mind, to say nothing. And then he comes back on, gives a non-apology, and the left cheered him on.
Yeah, it is. It's the difference between the lie and the First Amendment, because we could go through and say, hey, you have every right to say whatever you want to say. But when you have a platform like this and you are lying to the American people, then we also have a right to hold you accountable for those lies. We can't just let things keep going on. And I love it. If we're going to talk about both sidesism, Sean, then this is the point in time where we go, hey, we can't say things on the right. You guys come after us for every little tiny thing that is ever said by anyone with an R next to their name. And you want to take the political assassination that is potentially going to change the fate of this country, and you want to spew lies about that on television, and you expect us to sit down? Well, we're not in that same era that we were in before Charlie's assassination. Things now have become different, and they needed to change because Republicans and conservatives in this country have now feel the sense, the weight of the moment that we're in. We felt it with the election with Donald Trump. We knew that people had to come together and figure out how to get Donald Trump back in office. Well, now we have to say, okay, we were able to do that. What are the next steps then to ensure that we actually have revival in this country and conservative principles that echo throughout time? Because like you guys are saying, this is a fight now for the soul of the nation and the youth that are going to be coming up and figuring out, am I going to live my life with these leftists' values where it's okay to just say and do and be what, the craziness that we are seeing now on display every week in this country? Or do we want people that are going to have self-respect and family and virtue? The choice is very clear right now.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, I started to think that it might be an ABC thing because Kimmel comes out and does this non-apology. You've got this guy, Matt Gutman, one of their so-called reporters, that said it was very thoughtful, those exchanges between the assassin and his trans lover. And then Jonathan Karl saying definitively, and I just want to make sure I quote John, he said that it was not political violence. Right. So maybe this is an ABC thing, that they just really don't get it, and it's in the water there at corporate. But I feel like there's a real disconnect between all of these things that are happening right now and what people wanted to hear.
Yeah, listen, I think ABC is probably one of the worst examples, but it is hardly the only one. And I think it's actually reflective more of the whole, both the whole within that company, meaning Disney, the larger corporation, but then even way beyond that, just the establishment media, the corporate media in America. And even beyond that, I would argue much of the ruling class of the United States, whether it's big business, big media, entertainment, big pharma, I could go on and on, all working in concert. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that there's some conspiracy, that there's a morning conference call. No, it means that their incentives are all aligned. And their incentives, unfortunately, push them to not only tolerate, but in some cases even encourage the worst tactics of the radical left. And, Jill mentioned Jesse Kelly, who's fantastic. And he's been almost a prophet, I think, in a lot of ways, in terms of warning us of just how dangerous the radical left is here in the United States. And he's been on offense for a very long time. I think now a lot of Americans have woken up, especially those of us on the populist right, to realize that we must be on offense, that there is going to be no compromise with the radical left, because they want us dead at worst. At best, they want us debanked. They want us fired. And unless we go on offense, we're not going to have a country any longer. And thankfully, one of the good results of horrible tragedies is that people they're shaken, they're woken up to the reality that we need to be on offense. And part of being on offense, by the way, is with somebody like Jimmy Kimmel to say, you have a right to say abhorrent things. Okay, you do. but you don't have a right to a talk show. You don't have a right to a job, to a teacher in your community. You have a right to say terrible things celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, but you don't have a right to then teach our community's children after that. That's going on offense, saying that there are consequences even to free speech. And I'm a free speech absolutist, but that doesn't mean you don't suffer the consequences of horrific speech, of abhorrent speech, and of completely dishonest speech in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, somebody who was very intentionally trying to spread through his big platform, very intentionally trying to spread an absolutely atrocious lie that Charlie Kirk was somehow killed by MAGA. He was trying to sow that confusion and probably successfully did so among a certain number of Americans. Unfortunately, he should face consequences for that. He did for about 48 hours, and now he's right back to where he was lying with a fake apology. Okay, not good enough. So those of us on the right, again, need to stay on the offensive, whether it's against Antifa or Disney. And by the way, I don't see that much difference between Antifa or Disney. And I really mean that. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. I think they are largely aligned in their interests.
By the way, I feel like we just blew Jesse Kelly's head up way too big.
And it's already
It's okay.
big.
It's okay. The hairline went back even further for him when that happened.
I'm never going to hear the end of it now. Mehek, to Steve's point, you're the attorney here. The left wrapped themselves around the First Amendment, and Jimmy himself did, saying, this is not America. And I'm like, no, America, he didn't go to jail. He didn't get handcuffed. He didn't get visited by the police. He said what he wanted to say, but it's Ted Cruz was on the show a week ago and he said, how about this? Go up to your boss and say you're a jerk. Like, you have a right to say it. You won't go to jail for saying it, but your boss will likely fire you. And so you're the attorney. Why is it wrong? Like, where is the left wrong as we head into the weekend and people are going to be probably discussing this and all the left leaning nut jobs are going to be saying, the First Amendment's under attack. Give us your analysis of why that's such a BS argument.
Well, first and foremost, Jimmy Kimmel didn't say three powerful words. I am sorry. And that would have helped seal this debate.
Yes.
And we would have moved on. We would have said, finally, a man on the left that found a backbone. I won't say what I really want to say, but had a backbone, right? But he doesn't know how to tell the truth. So I'll tell you from the legal side, everybody wants to jump up and down and talk about freedom of speech. We all have it. It's protected from the government. But when you're sitting and you're broadcasting to millions of viewers, the FCC is granting ABC affiliates licenses, and that carries weight. The FCC chair actually nailed it. And I wrote this down. Broadcasters have a duty to serve the public interest, not spread baseless hate that endangers lives. And that's exactly what Kimmel did. His rhetoric echoes the very lives that inspired the attack against Charlie. And mark my words, it will inspire more attacks because it takes people sitting there on the internet believing what Kimmel said to believe to be true. And the fact that Kimmel didn't say, I am sorry, there's some nut job out there that actually believes MAGA was behind the attack on Charlie. So legally speaking, I think ABC made a very poor decision when it allowed its affiliates to put Kimmel back on the news. He wasn't sitting in his underwear at home, making stupid comments, making baseless comments. He spread lies to millions of Americans. But I do think this is a turning point again in media, because we're going to keep challenging when lies are spread, and we're going to keep pushing for people like Kimmel to be removed from the airways, because the American people today deserve the truth. So that leaves us with Kimmel has no backbone, Sean, and I don't expect anybody on the left to learn from this. When you say three powerful words, I am sorry, that changes the course and direction of America. Look what Erica said. Erica Kirk said, I forgive him. If the left said, I am sorry, imagine where our country would be today.
Yeah, look, I tweeted this out. There are two types of apologies. The one that you just described, I'm really sorry. I said something, did something stupid. I ask for your forgiveness. That's a real apology. The weasel apology is, I'm sorry if you're offended by the words that I use. Like, it's on you. The predicate is you. I'm sorry if you are offended. And that was what he did. Hillary Clinton, though, says that it came out from the right. Steve tweeted this out. Let me just play it for you. Take a listen to what Hillary said.
We have got to stop demonizing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I think most of that right now in our country's history is coming, from the right, coming from people who want to dominate. They want their point of view. Writing out slavery from history That doesn't make it go away. You know, we have got to stop with the finger pointing and the scapegoating.
Jill, do you agree? I mean, she finally put her finger on it. Hillary nailed it once again.
This coming from the person who went on media years and years and years ago, the originator of the vast right-wing conspiracy, is now trying to tell us we need to take it down, you guys. We can't keep doing this. It's incredible to see Hillary Clinton back in the media, first of all. Just the things that she was saying on that program alone. We have an entire week's worth of things that we could cover from Hillary. But the fact that she is just trying to go through now and look at things, she's trying to say that we are rewriting history, you guys. What do you think that the Clintons, followed by the Obamas, followed by, the Otto Penn Biden administration, what do you think their top priorities were? It was absolutely rewriting history. And to just put one final point on the First Amendment, right? We're different on the right because we're calling for Jimmy Kimmel not to be on air anymore, but we're not calling for him to be jailed. And there is a huge difference between those two. You have the right to say it. You just might not be on air for much longer if you keep saying things the way that he did.
By the way, when Hillary Clinton says this, remember who controls academia. If anyone's going to erase anything between not just K through 12, but even the higher education, the left controls it. So if there's anyone who can actually control what's in history books, it's them. But Steve Cortes, I want to take this to the next level. There are two big races right now. In Virginia, we have all three constitutional offices are up, and in New Jersey, all three are up. The left would have you believe that they are favored in both. Obviously, New Jersey, blue state, they say, we're going to win this thing. Mikey Sherrill, she's a great candidate. In fact, some argue she could be a great candidate for president of the United States. And in Virginia, again, same thing. It's ripe for the pickup because Abigail Spanberger is such a great person. But there's a brand new poll out in New Jersey that shows that may not be the case. The question I want to ask you is, do you think that based on what we've seen in the last 10 days, the gaslighting by the media, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this revival of faith and interest is going to propel a win in either one of those states?
I do, particularly in New Jersey. I think it's possible in both. And listen, both are uphill. They're obviously both Democrat states. They're uphill battles for our side. But I believe at least one is winnable, potentially both. And in the case of New Jersey, there's a lot going on there. And regarding this poll from Emerson, this is not some conservative pollster. This poll shows an absolute dead heat tie. Now, I polled it myself just a few weeks ago, and I saw Chitterelli down 4. So I had a very close race, almost within margin of error. It appears it is now tightened to essentially tied. And I think, why is it tightened? I think you're exactly correct, Sean. It's because of the horrific recent events in the world that have galvanized a lot of folks into action, that have persuaded those persuadable voters that, wait a second, I can't side with these radical leftists who will literally put people in danger because of their agenda, their ideological agenda in this country. And so then they take a fresh look at the race and they say, this Chitterelli, boy, he's working hard. He's an incredibly magnetic candidate, I think, in so many ways. And then I look at Mikey Sherrill, who is largely hiding. She's trying to play the Kamala Harris sort of routine, play that out in the state of New Jersey and hide from the people when she does have to appear, as she did in a recent debate. They don't like her. They don't believe her. They found out that she made $7 million while in office trading stocks as a U.S. representative. And they say she's more of the same. She's more of the Democrat machine that has run New Jersey into the ground in very many ways. So I've got a brand new documentary out on exactly this topic, on particularly ethnic voters in New Jersey, both Italians and Hispanics moving big time to the political right. That's happening nationwide, but it's especially important in a state like New Jersey. And the reason I got the impetus to make that doc was I read that Tony Soprano's hometown flipped. It flipped from Democrat to Trump in 2024. And I said, there's something there. There's a story there. Then even more importantly than just that small anecdote, on a much larger scale, Passaic County, which is where a lot of the Sopranos takes place, right near New York City, working class, gritty place, very Hispanic. Passaic County flipped for the first time in decades and was won by Donald Trump. So I went there to talk to the folks there, to the locals, and find out, why did this happen? What is making you America first suddenly? Why are these Democrat constituencies flipping over? And if that is the case, in fact, into November, which I think it is, Chitterelli's going to win. And we're going to make New Jersey a swing state for 2028. And Sean, you know as well as anybody, if that happens, that is a problem of just
Epic.
absolute magnitude for the Democrats if they have to defend New Jersey and it becomes a true swing state, which I think can happen.
Did you go up to those people and go, how you doing?
That's right.
Mehek, there's another thing coming down the pike next week, next Tuesday to be specific. The government will shut down if it's not kept going. First and foremost, do you think it will shut down? And then secondly, I want you to also answer, if so, how long and who gets blamed?
Look, Sean, for us to even be talking about a shutdown when the House put a clean CR bill and the same Democrats, Schumer, Jeffries, all said grandma's going to lose her Social Security, veterans benefits. I mean, where are the Democrats today for the hardworking Americans that they promised to deliver on? The problem is Democrats are grandstanding. They should have accepted a clean CR so we could keep government open and negotiate. But instead, they are dragging the American people down. And at the end of the day, if we shut down, it's going to be the Democrats' fault, because they're not working in the best interest of the American people. I've spent a lot of time here in Ohio talking to a lot of our congressional members. They are optimistic that Democrats will come to the table. I think personally, this is a fundraising ploy, right? They get a couple more weeks of fundraising, dragging President Trump through the mud and emails. But they know if they believe what they have said for so long, that grandma's going to lose Social Security and veterans are going to shut down and every benefit in the state, then they better get to that negotiating table and they better say yes so that we can keep government operational. But this is just a political ploy and a stunt. I don't think we're going to have a shutdown. We can't have a shutdown.
Jill, there was a checkmate moment last night. The White House OMB, run by Russ Vought, sent out a memo and said, if we shut down, start firing people because they will have the legal authority to do it, which I think was to say to Chuck Schumer, because just so people understand what Mehek said, the Republican House passed what they call a clean CR, which is the current funding for the current government, the current policies, and says we just keep it going for 30 days, right? So the point is, there's nothing Republican about this. In fact, a lot of it is a Biden budget. So if you're a Democrat, this is the best deal you're going to get. And they're trying to add $1 trillion of additional spending. I think this is, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then the OMB said, okay, we'll just start firing people, which, by the way, let's face facts. Those are all Democrats. I thought it was a brilliant chess match kind of move, as opposed to we're going to have a press conference. The White House, I thought, was just beautiful in that.
I smiled as big as I am right now when I saw that because it was perfect, right? Like in Russ, we trust there for OMB. Just look at what this administration is doing right now. You have Russ Vought, who's going on offense, right? We talk about Jesse Kelly going on offense. Let's talk about the people in the Trump administration that are going on offense. Russ Vought, right there at the top of the list. Stephen Miller. There have been people online that have said watching Stephen Miller right now is like watching Michael Jordan in his prime. There are no lies
The only
told.
one saying that is Katie Miller.
No, there are others. It's not even Katie that's saying that. I love it, though. JD Vance, right? The fact that he is being put on a platform the way that he is, he's going out and giving speeches and being so influential already. And he's just back and forth with the Americans on platforms like X, where he's just speaking his mind, right? I don't really care, Margaret, right? Like there are so many moments right now where the Trump administration is getting victories. And this is different for Republicans. We don't go on offense. We sit back and we go, oh no, the Democrats, they're going to threaten a shutdown and it's going to be our fault and we're all going to be scared. No, we're not. You know what? If that happens, we're going to start firing you. So go ahead. And where's the Democrat leadership actually going to be coming from right now, right? Are you going to follow Hakeem Jeffries? Are you going to be following, Chuck Schumer? Nobody is actually lining up behind them right now. Their entire party is in disarray.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Steve. I'll say to your point, Jill, there's actually a poll out. None of the Democrats running for office want to appear with Chuck Schumer, and they're openly coming out and saying, we won't vote for you for majority leader. Steve, I'm sorry, I jumped in.
Yeah, no, to that point regarding the shutdown, hey, Democrats, don't threaten us with a good time, okay? Because this is gangster from Russ Vought, right? But this is exactly what you should do with the power that you have earned, right? You earn that power through a mandate election from the American people, and you then deploy that power. You do it through legal means, not like the left, not through intimidation and violence, but through legal means you employ and deploy that power. So in fact, if the Democrats want this kind of brinkmanship to a shutdown, and it results in firing thousands and thousands of federal bureaucrats who do nothing but abuse the American people while collecting massive benefits that do nothing but run up our deficit, well, you know what? That might be just fine by us, and it might actually end up being great for the American people.
All right, I want to do a quick little rapid round before I get to winners and losers, because I just want to get your take, and no one answered my question just a second ago. So a quick yes or no. Tuesday night, midnight, the government runs out of money unless we get a continuing resolution to keep it. Does it shut down, yes or no, Steve?
Yes.
Mehek?
No.
Jill?
The tiebreaker. I think it is. I think yes for just a short period of time because they want to play political games.
Yeah, I'm on Team Savage because I agree with you. It shuts down. I think the Democrats own it real quick. All right, here's the next one for you. Steve, does Jim Comey, former FBI director, there's a statute of limitation that runs out next week. Does he get indicted, yes or no?
Hell yes, he gets indicted, and it is about time. That man belongs in handcuffs.
Mehek Cooke?
Heck yeah.
Jill Savage?
I mean, I want to say yes, but we can't have nice things. And so until I actually see it, I'm a no vote that wants to be a yes vote.
Oh, I thought we were going to get complete unanimity. All right. The last thing I'll say, and I'm being serious about this, after this failure of a book tour that Kamala has had, does she actually run for president, Steve?
Yeah, great question. I don't think so because, look, I think she's malevolent, but I don't think she's a complete idiot. And only a complete idiot would put this book out, do this tour, and then run for president after burning so many bridges with her own supposed allies. So my guess is no, she's not running.
The funny thing is, I think the predicate to your question is the important. She can't read a room. And I think she's going to be like, okay, I sold some books. I should run. Mehek, yes or no?
Could be.
Kamala who? I mean, that's what we have to ask today. Like, who are we talking about? The borders are that she said she didn't have the job doing. She's unforgettable. She's going to try and run because that's the only way she gets to be on those private jets and employ a couple people who run around circles around her so she can write another book about how she couldn't run because she was a woman and we're not ready for women in politics today.
Jill Savage, yes or no?
No, and she was out on Good Morning America already this week saying she lost because she didn't have enough time.
There was time. It was just time. I knew.
I didn't have enough time.
Lots of people have $1.5 billion to blow in 107 days and lose. I mean, that happens all the time. All right.
The only reason she had it was because she had a short period of time.
That's right. If she had long, I'm like, that's the dirty secret.
It only gets worse.
It only got, exactly. I agree with Jill on that one. Steve, winner and loser for the week.
So for my winners, I want to go back to Virginia, by the way. There was an amazing rally at Virginia Tech. It was supposed to be Charlie Kirk, but instead it was Megyn Kelly and Glenn Youngkin. They're my winners for the week because I think they were just pitch perfect. They were brave, and kudos to them. My loser for the week is going to be Gavin Newsom. I don't know that we brought him up much so far today, but Gavin has continually criticized in the absolute harshest and most dishonest terms ICE. I think along with J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom should be loser of the week because I think he is at least partly responsible for this violence against ICE agents.
I had it on my list. That's one of the. I literally had that clip ready to tee up. But absolutely, you're absolutely right. This goes back to the idea: why are these guys not denouncing this violence? Mehek Cooke, who won and lost the week?
So winner of the week, I say President Trump for his UN smackdown. I actually had to go and look up what does the UN do? And then I realized nothing. President Trump has taken over the global stage. So he's my winner. And then loser, I would say Antifa and the left. I think President Trump is going to continue to say, you are a domestic terrorist if you continue to harm our country. So we're going to see more and more losers. And Gavin Newsom's been a loser every single week. So he's always going to be on my list, Sean.
That's good to know. All right, Jill Savage.
My winner of the week, Mehek and I actually met at AmFest last year. So it's going to be Turning Point USA because not only have they just gone through and got so many people that have been requesting, but that number went from like 36,000 to 56,000. It's now up to 121,000 high school and college kids that either want to start or join a chapter. So this is going to be the movement that we need to see moving forward. And my loser of the week, you alluded to it earlier a little bit, Sean, is Congressman Corey Mills. If you have any questions, go check out my pinned post, married by a unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And it gets worse from there. We had Representative Nancy Mace on our show this week, and she called him a national security threat three times.
Listen, I would just say this. If you have not watched Jill Savage, the last name is not just her last name. She is an equal opportunity savage person, because I have watched her torch people regardless if they're not doing the right thing. So if you don't follow Jill Savage and watch her show, trust me, I don't want to ever get on your bad side, Jill. I watch how you.
I'm a very nice person.
I know, yes. But I'm scared of you now. I would rather be deported by Tom Homan than face Jill Savage. I mean, I'm being serious. All right, I want to start with my loser of the week, because it's keeping in the same vein of what we're talking about as winner. So I want to lead with the loser. Take a listen to how the announcer at the Mets talked about this player who went to Charlie Kirk's funeral. Take a listen.
Shaw had Cubs World in a tizzy this weekend when he was not here for the Cubs game with the Reds. Game they lost 1-0, and in which his lack of presence was felt. It was later revealed that he had been given permission to attend Charlie Kirk's funeral. And I don't want to talk about any of the politics of it, but the thought of leaving your team in the middle of a race for any reason other than a family emergency really strikes me as weird.
As weird, Steve Cortes. I was like, what does it come to when you can't go to a close friend's funeral and have someone? I mean, I get it. Apparently there's more to what the bereavement clause in many contracts says. But I was like, dude, the idea that you're calling it weird that he went to Charlie Kirk's funeral, who was a friend of his, is actually weird to me. And so I'll pivot to my winner, which I'm with you guys on this. And so usually I'll change it. I'll write a couple, and if someone takes one, but I agree with how Jill framed this, and Steve, you as well. The event that Michael Knowles put on, first and foremost, was spectacular. Then last night, Glenn Youngkin and Megyn Kelly here in Virginia, which I do think is what's going to put Virginia over the top. This revival that Charlie Kirk has inspired, the number of young people, the number of men and women who are going to church for the first time. I believe that that's happening. And Jill pointed this out. So let me this was a Turning Point USA says that they have seen a surge in interest, total inquiries rising from 60,000 to more than 120 since Charlie's assassination. We are on the cusp of having a TP USA Club America chapter in every high school and college campus in America, said Andrew Colvett, one of the spokespeople there, and obviously Charlie's executive producer. I believe that this is going to truly be a turning point. No pun intended, but this is awakened something in this country. And so for that reason, I think there's general agreement for the first time that we have pretty much agreement as to who won that week. Thank you guys for being here, crushing it as we head into the weekend. I love the topics, the energy, and I need to do Jill, send me an address because I need to stay on your good side. I don't want anyone to go. Anyway, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. We got tomorrow. Victor Marks will be here. John Solomon tomorrow, next week. Big week. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.